Ted. Having an awesome time on here, man. Thanks for setting up. No problem, mate. Ada, how's it going? Yeah, you can, in fact,
there's another mini.
Where?
Yo.
That's fine. Hey, you can fly back if you want. I'll run it. I've got nothing on me anyway.
I'm gonna try to noise cancel some suppression here. If you can hear me.
I'll just run it back. I'll show you. So this is some of the bases that have been built so far. Fucking massive. At night, it still gets to 75. I think you're near my base. What?
Let's see, suppression more. Yeah, hopefully that's decent.
That bridge keeps rendering out. My internet's having an absolute shit. Which is even more annoying, to be honest. I'll run it back and see it. So those who didn't see it earlier.
I'll try to set this up real quick.
We're trying to fix the loot in it at the minute. It's not a loan issue, it's a server issue. It's getting fixed as we speak. It's one of those unfortunate things that it. Oh. I think it was more Mining Arc's fault.
Okay, there we go.
We'll be back on tonight though. We're going to try and do a trap base on the server. And just have an all round laugh, really.
And we're live. What's up, everybody? Who does decide to join? I apologize for my sounds that I got going right now. I got Twisted's stream in the background. Okay. So we need to.
So you do have plenty of space to go as well.
We need to come up with some more customization. So this right here.
Just curious, what are you guys doing regarding the loot and the monuments? We're sorting it now, mate. Proper fix. Someone redoing all the loot table for it now. It should be live. It should be ready and live tonight on the test server. So we can test it overnight. It's only 3 areas that are not working at the minute. So it's getting all redone and sorted. So hopefully tonight I should be able to go on the test server and show people all the stuff that I'm recording the update video tomorrow, which will show all the fixes and hopefully we don't get DDoSed again as well. Let's go, baby. This will give you a good view of it actually, unless you crash into the trees. This shows you the map ideally, all the lights at night. That's all lit up obviously as well. Nice company, pyramid guys. Mr. Me, thanks for it, mate. Appreciate it. Fireflies around the pyramids will brighten up. Yeah, I know. It's really dark in there. Yeah, if it makes it lighter in there, then definitely 100%. A little shithole up here. Right guys, thanks. It was just a quick stream just to kind of show whilst it was quiet, because it does get quite busy in here at night. I know people probably check the pop and say, oh, it's only 30 people on. Yeah, it's an American server. We are making the new server as we speak, live on the 20th. Just in time for the Christmas update. So anyone who's been thinking about joining, you're more welcome to join. Check the Discord, join that. Tonight we're back on, we're going to try and get Trap up on here. It's quiet, then definitely on 5 times, just having a mess around for 2 or 3 hours. There we goes. Right, cheers guys, and I'll catch you next time.
His stream's already over. Well, I guess it's just my stream now. I didn't expect him to quit his already. I'm only going to stream for a little bit just because anytime I do any progress on this map, or on this prefab, I'm trying to stream it for a video later on so I can have it all showcased from start to finish of how I made it. Anybody who comes in who has questions, I'll answer what I can. If not, just DM me in Discord, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. I do have to go to work here at 11, so it gives me from 9 to 10:30 to work on this project. And then after work, I'll come back and I'll try to get some stuff done. A lot of the times I don't stream just because the noise volume's in the house. But right now is kind of a good time because nobody's here, it's just me. I can be kind of loud if I need to be. Just saying. Oh, I guess I got RT disconnected on Discord.
Hi,
but
and welcome back. Today we try to make the smallest but strong.
Yeah, his stuff's done, so let's just get rid of his and bring mine back into the forefront here. Basically, work with a bunch of different people. They need help with stuff, or they have ideas that they want to see done. I kind of get it taken care of. I don't charge people for my work because this is more of a hobby. So the more I work, the more I understand more of the system. I can create more things. Creativity is always just there. When you work off other people's ideas, everyone kind of should just work together so that we can take Rust to a whole new level. If you've ever played Skyrim, you understand how mods develop, and mods are built off of other people's work. So each person makes a different mod that inspires another. Next thing you know, you have a stock game, and you have a way more advanced game. It's insane the amount of creativity when people start working together and what can happen, what can be made. And that's kind of my whole thing, is what I want. I want to be able to inspire others to do the same kind of stuff that I was inspired to do just by looking at other people's work. It's really cool what some of us can come up with. And if everybody kind of works together, sky's the limit. 5M for Grand Theft Auto, like 5, just check out that. It's taken the game to a whole new level through roleplay. Like, you can be different peds, you can do all sorts of things, customize cars, stuff you'd never play in the regular game. I'm hoping one day we can do that with Rust and have, you know, kind of a 5M thing version of Rust. That'd be really awesome. Because if we can have more customization, then you never know what one person's going to do compared to the other. Oh, that's too much crash there. Plus, you know, the game's already great. It's just being able to add and change things gives you more of a creative freedom, which is kind of cool. We all love the original Rust. It was a great game. It still is a great game. But, you know, some of us, we just all get bored with the way things go after a while. Everything kind of gets stagnant. And it's cool that we can do our own versions and just completely change the game up. Like, each server can be unique and custom with mods and plugins and all that. And everybody can kind of do stuff that Facepunch doesn't have the time to do, because Facepunch can't be around everywhere. They're going to do what they want to do, which may not be what you want. But if we all kind of just do our own thing, they might see it and might go, you know what, fuck it, let's open it up to a whole creator possibility. They might start backing the creators. They might start, maybe they'll make a creation kit. I doubt it, but, you know, it'd be cool if they unlocked a lot more stuff for us so we could make more custom items. Like, this ultimately is like the coolest thing ever, because you would never in a million years in a vanilla get away from my RAM, there we go. In a million years in Rust, you would never expect to come in and be like, wait, is this a fucking mall? Like, yeah, dude, this is a fucking holy shit. Like, and especially with our new custom vehicles that are coming, you'd be able to drive here, park, get out, and then venture into the mall. This is just ultimately like my favorite project right now. That's why I'm pouring in as much time and effort into this as I can, because I love the game Dead Rising. And when Twisted, well, his buddy of his Art asked me to create a mall for him, and Twisted was like, "Hey, make it creepy." My first instinct was, why not Willemette Mall from Dead Rising? Like, that's one of the greatest fucking memories of my childhood when I played that game. And you go into this mall just filled with fucking zombies, and there's so much possibility with that mall, with stuff that's already been created, stuff I've already worked on for Rust Edit, that I'm just going to try to pour it all in there. So that's just this big, massive custom monument. Something you wouldn't see in any other server in Rust yet. Like, other people are starting to make stuff, but a mall hasn't really been made, especially a mall of this size and caliber. I do really want to say that this is probably going to be my greatest work that I've ever created. I am very hopeful for this to work out really well. Like, right now it looks pretty good. I still got to do more actual splat painting, but that'll be after I finish most of it. Basically, and with our, this is the only thing we have for glass, so it's not the greatest, but it works out pretty well. Am I stuck? I think I got stuck. This is still a kind of a beta feature. Oh, and there we go, back underwater. Let's try that again. There we go. So, like, you just imagine coming into this thing. Now, I have to still build out and flesh out an interior. This thing's going to be pretty massive, but hopes are, this is the front of the building. But I'm going to probably keep this front. I'm fairly confident it's done. If you remember Dead Rising, it's a massive mall. Like, you would come in and you'd have an entranceway here. There'd be a catwalk that kind of walks around. A lot of this is going to be dead space in the building, because even in the game, original game, they have a lot of dead space. Like, they only do certain parts of rooms, and only what you can visibly see in each room is actually, like, visible. So, like, there's a lot of dead space there that you're going to try to just kind of put little pocket rooms in. And then you'll, after I've done each kind of room as I go along, I'll redo the outside of the building to make it kind of look more like the real mall. Like, I want to kind of flush out how we're going to walk in. So you're going to come in here. There's going to have to be a diamond pattern floor circle thing. I'm going to try to make that. I already have a little guy that I'm going to put here in the center, because I didn't want to make the freaking weird clown clock tower. So I decided to make my own. I call it the Pookie Clock Tower. And then I'll just scale it down a bit. And so you would come through the doors, and there'd be this fountain underneath the Pookie Pit. You would have kind of a triangle floor pattern there. Up top, you'd have kind of like a skylight. There's a visible skylight in the game that shines down in the room, where you have a staircase that branches over on each side that take you to the upper level, which is where the walkway would be. There'd be some shops along each of the spots of the walkway. Most are not going to be accessible, because in this original room in Dead Rising, the only one is this bottom left floor one that you can actually get into in that main area, where it's just like a little camping tent room. Everything else is generally locked off, so I'm going to make gates to kind of lock off each of these rooms, but I'm still going to like try to decorate them with some of the stuff from Rust. And then you'll have planners and stuff outlined here and stuff in the walkway. Then there'll be a tunnel on top of the building here. That'll be also like a skylight. That'll just be able to bring more natural light inside to the mall. Where you'll still have the top floors cascading this way and that way, which will come to some escalators that come down. And there'll still be shopping center stuff all the way around it. I still have to plan out which section of the mall is going to go where, because ultimately this mall is pretty freaking huge. So I'm going to look at some of Dead Rising's map, and I'm gonna try to just take and incorporate the main areas that I feel would be great to put into the Rust Mall. So like we'll try to have a Western food court area. I'm gonna try to base that completely off of what's already in Dead Rising. It's not going to be 100%, but it's going to be close because I want you to be able to climb up, have like a little vantage point where you can shoot down from and PvP battle if you need to, or camp and wait for people to come into that area and kill them. And then that'd be a PvP room. Then we would have like a pirate cove kind of spot where you would be climbing into ships. You would be going down to the ship to find stuff, but you would be climbing in the one entranceway, and you could still get out of the boat pretty quick any other way, but there's only one way to get into the boat. So it kind of makes it more of a, do I want to go in here and possibly die scenario? It's all a work in progress, but I'm hoping to get little spots like that in. I'm definitely thinking of doing the clown fight room. There's a train plugin out already by Colin Blow, so I'm thinking if I can make some tracks, I can do like a small little room where you take the elevator up to get to the next floor. The staircases would probably be blocked off, so you'd have to take the elevator. From the second floor, you'd have access to one of the train cars, because it'll just be moving throughout the track the entire time, and you can jump on it, but I'm probably going to put some sort of barriers in, just to keep you from getting into it without going on the second floor. I might not do that. I might leave it open, because it's going to all require you to actually set the plugin up yourself. So I'll run the tracks from everything, and have it stop off in a specific area where you would get out, and it would be like a loot room where you'd have to do a card puzzle to get into the loot room. So you'd have to at least access a panel by the elevator, put your fuse in or something, toggle a switch, get on the cart. Maybe the cart takes you over to another area where you would flip another switch, which would activate the power to the door, and then you would blue key card it, just to gain access to that secret like vault-like room. And in there, I'm going to try to kind of put some themes of the clown, maybe a chainsaw. If I can make a chainsaw model, it shouldn't be too impossible to make a chainsaw model, but I want to do something similar to that. That'd be kind of cool. Just a little heads nod to the boss battle that you would have had. Maybe have 2 mini chainsaws there on a wall, covered in fucking bones and stuff everywhere. Who knows? I also want to try to make and flesh out the gun room where you go in, the guy sells guns and stuff, because it'd be kind of easy to set an NPC in there that you could buy guns from through plugins. But also, if you shot, he would kill you. Like he'd be like impossible to kill, but he would probably just be there as a vendor, which would be kind of dope. So you could come into the mall, buy guns if you need guns, because you need a custom plugin to have weapons and stuff pick upable from each room, and that's just a little too much. So I'm trying to think of how I'm going to build this, and people can just jump on in, kind of use it as a monument, run through. Still get a little nostalgia from some of the rooms. In the center of the mall is going to be the courtyard, where it's going to have access to, say, Movie Land, which is going to be over here on the right, or access to the underground garage, which will then take you into different sections of the mall that you can't normally get into without going through the underground, because I want it to force you to go that way. So you have to do like a little card puzzle and go down through this labyrinth until you find the right ladders to the different areas you need to. I'll probably put signage in each one for which corresponding area they go to, so that way at least you have kind of an idea mapped out. A good job is that I'm thinking for is I'm going to probably close off one of the other entrances that you would access for the courtyard, for say like the food court. Like the food court, you should have to, I would force a player to say, go out into the courtyard here, maybe climb some scaffolding, get onto the roof, through the roof, maybe go through a skylight to come down into the top portion of the food court. And then from there, you'd come down into the food court, go through like the hallways. The hallway would lead you to, some little portions of the shopping center, maybe. but underneath in the lower tier, I would say lower tier food court area would obviously be like some food crates that you could get, maybe a green crate or two here and there spread out through each of them. Customized loot can always be a thing. Hell, I can even put chainsaws in the loot table so you could actually get chainsaws from the clown battle. Like have a chest there with 2 chainsaws or something, you know. It'd be cool if we could have a mini chainsaw in the game, but I doubt they're going to add it yet. It's just, there's a lot of different things we can do, and once I've detailed out which room and where I want to put the room, then I can start working on tunnels and how I'm going to connect each path to each room, via versa, all that. It's going to be kind of cool. Ultimately, that's kind of the idea of what I got in mind so far. I haven't typed anything up yet, but I think this is going to work out really well. I gave my deadline December 14th for it. I might have to push my deadline forward more because this project's starting to make me do more than I like initially thought I was going to do. I thought I was just going to do like a small little mall, but then inspiration hit, and now I'm just taking off with it. So I'm going to get back into working on stuff. If you have any questions, you know, ideas of what you might want to add, feel free to shoot me in with them. I'm going to try to flush out some of the entranceway here today. So I need a fountain. I don't know if I have the fountain. No, I do not. Okay, so I'm going to need to make a fountain. Best I've found for that would be quarry. Where's the quarry rocks? This one's too big. But it does have these kind of rocks right here. So I'm gonna break these apart real quick. This is, oh, it is rock quarry A. Okay. We're gonna use rock quarry A here. And I'm going to do it a little big because you can always just scale it down once you get it all ready to go, which is cool. I think it's better to make it bigger, like a bigger scale, so that way when you scale it down, it's a little more unique. And the keys I'm using for most of this is Control D for duplicate, Control E to switch to rotation, Control, I'm going to say W to switch back to the arrows so I can drag. You just it's kind of tedious, but you get used to it once you've figured out what keys you're going to primarily use. And the more you kind of like offset and rotate certain things slightly, it doesn't make it look like a copy paste mess as much. And then after I do this, I'm gonna need to make the steps that kind of come down into the well. I might just for prefab count to keep it not so bad and more manageable, I might just stay with these guys just because I can do the quarry rocks and kind of make actual steps that go down, but this is like a natural step, so it actually works out pretty well. And they line up pretty fairly good here. So if I take that and I take a lake prefab, I can add water to it. So it should be lake V2. I can put that there, drag it, scale what I need to scale, and then kind of center it a bit, and then pick it up. Anything underneath the lake prefab is going to be water. So like underneath here, this would all be water, but it's so shallow that I don't want you swimming into the thing, you know? And I don't want it to poke out so much that you see the corners of the water rendering in. So like that, you don't want to have that. So I need to kind of like manipulate it a bit until it fits in without pouring out anywhere excessively. Like I still have that one right there, and to adjust that, I'm going to slide this here, slide that there, try to hide it a little bit so you don't notice as much of the square. And then we'll slide that in to kind of break it up a bit. That's pretty good. Okay. Now it's not a perfect circle, which is fine. We'll go back to Pookie. I'll scale him down. And there we would have the little, you know, fountain kind of room that's in the entrance. I would obviously still have to flesh out some more of the interior details for it, but basically I would take all of that and I would just drop it down. And I could what's it called? I can actually bring this all underneath the floor for whatever I'm going to build in there. So I'm going to take Pookie and I'm going to delete him. And then this one looks fairly good, so I'm going to create prefab. We'll probably say 14 to be, 16 to be safe. And then drag everything over. And as long as it's within the blue area, it should record, but I might need to do a 12 fade. We'll up this to 20. I want to get all of it in there. And we're just converting it to group, and we're going to call this fountain main mall. And now everything's still connected, and I can scale it if I need to. If I want to make it like a giant fucking pool, it's usable for that as well. Now we're gonna attempt to make the triangle floor piece that is kind of prominent. So I'm going to kind of flesh out some of the stuff in my head. We're gonna move this back a little bit more to the left. Because if I drag this all the way over, it's underneath, basically underneath whatever floor I already have set. So that's the height that I'm going to try to stay with my flooring. It's fairly in. So this is going to have to be ceiling walkable space on the roof. And then I'm going to have to make something the size of this on top. So this is going to be my, my indicator for the skylight that's going to be above it. If I pull, say, my stairs, I made some already, mall stairs. So I have the 45, So if I do this, I drag some over here, rotate that there. I've already made the platform, so I just have to adjust the platform a bit. But it's basically going to be like this. And then I would take another one of these, I'd pick it up, I'd rotate it. And then if you go underneath it, I would just need to break that because somehow it's saved out of order. I don't like that, so I'd have to work on that a bit. But this would be basically my access to the second floor, which would give me the height that my second floor needs to be at, which is here. So the windows are still going to be high enough up that you can see them, but you're not going to really be able to climb up there without parkouring on something. So I would have both of these going up, and then there would be a ring around this inner area as a walkway, which would leave shop, say here, shop there, a shop here, vice versa on the other side. Then the hallway would continue this way. But as you can see, it's already getting kind of big. So I have to figure out how I'm going to shrink it all down so it's not so massive. So I still need to make out what I'm going to use as a walkway material. And then I'm going to have to lay it in with all of this, maybe add some more walls, give or take here and there. But you want to have the interior visible kind of through here. So this I'm going to probably bring closer to the left, have all that. Should work out pretty well, but I'm making all these in individual parts so I can just drag and drop them later. That way it's a little easier, and then I can reuse them later on in the mall if I need to pull parts from each of these rooms to make other things. So let's work on what we're going to use as a walkway. A lot of people use dock floor just because, not those, dock floor, just because it's a concrete flooring. I can do dock floor like that, right? Or I could take a countertop and I get the glossy blacktop right here. You'll see that used in Tom's tile package. The scale them and everything. This has a nice little shine to it kind of in game. So you can use that with the counter. I'm probably just going to stick with the dock floor, and then that way I can just have it sticking into the wall slightly, and then I just need to adjust a curve, which is kind of hard because they're squares. But with at least with dock flooring, I can say like take this piece, I duplicated it. I can kind of have a little leeway with if I need to bring some in. Now you see that little glitch texture thing where it's doing that? You just drop it down slightly, and it blends in pretty decently. Like anybody who's actually looking will see it, but you can kind of use these in different ways and make like a bend. You'd have to scale it and everything, but say if I do that and I drop that slightly, and I have to do this multiple times until I make a bend. But that would be a walk-on surface. If you got underneath it, which you can't crouch in the editor, but if you were underneath it, you wouldn't see anything. It doesn't have the texture, so we want to make sure that you can't get underneath it because you would plop right through it. Like there's nothing blocking you from doing that. So you would just duplicate it, hit X, and you would flip it like so, and then underneath it would just be a hard surface, and then you just space it out with some walls or something between them, but you'd have to go down to get kind of an idea of where it's at and tweak slowly piece by piece until you get it to the shape that you want. But it's work in progress. I've already done the front door here. I'm going to probably use, I want to say metal beams. Well, not metal. I just type beam. You have Rocket Factory door ones like this, but they have these stupid ledge things. So I use those for the glass, just so it's like, oh, this is holding onto the glass. That's cool. But I wouldn't use that for making any of like a cell gate kind of thing. But I would take this beam and I would decide which way do I want to shrink it. Because if I do it like that, and then I bring it like so, it makes kind of like a mini girder, but it would look like a wall frame piece. And if you go too small, it's just jank as fuck. So I would make it more wider, a little thicker. And then you would just copy paste. And then after that, I would interlay one of these. So it kind of looks like, and I'd probably have these going lengthwise to make kind of like a roller door looking thing. So with that, it's already kind of cool. Or I could do like an X pattern with those bars, so it looks more like a shop's roller door. And then I can take one of these. There's a broken one where it's kind of bent, and I can do the same thing with those doors, so it looks like the little gates are kind of down. Or not all be for each of like the little room entrances. So I don't know. Let's see. Do we want to do an entranceway? Let's do an entranceway real quick. These need to be more narrow. And then shorten them. Oh, that's skinny. Hit the X here so I can actually adjust that. I'm going to center the gizmo so I can just have more control over it. Okay, so I would take that, duplicate it, hit X so I can keep it. And I want to keep the spacing kind of similar. And I'll select them all by holding Control, so that way I can kind of keep everything symmetrical as best as I can. I'm trying to do this all based off my eye. And then if I do that and I hit rotation, I can kind of come down here. Okay, so each of those have kind of like a spacing. then I would just need to vice versa all of this. So that'd be like kind of a metal gate thing. I could probably do more, but I don't want to keep the prefab count up too high, because the more prefabs I use in the build, the more it's going to lag players that play, because they have to render in all that. So I could take this, I can do invisible collider, and then I would just scale the collider. That way you wouldn't be able to shoot through it. Or some off chance you might be able to walk through it, because these are so skinny. Sometimes their hitboxes disappear. So just to be safe, you do that. Also using the collider, you can see if stuff's actually leveled or not and flat. Some things I don't want be perfectly square, because it's just kind of weird. So I adjust it as needed. Nobody's going to shoot through the top or bottom gap, so you don't have to go crazy with it. And then I would take the roller door, which should be a garage door. So there's this one. And then I would just mix that in there, stretch it. Now you wouldn't normally see the colliders, so you just should be able to toggle off volumes. For some reason that one's not toggling off, but yeah, can't get through it. Nah, I'm gonna probably up this a little bit. Because now I have a little bit of free access with this top piece up here. It's kind of blocking a lot of the parts. Obviously you wouldn't see the interior, so that's gonna be fine the way it is. And then I'm trying to keep them all about the same angle as best I can. Just so this kind of flows slightly better. This one I'm going to have to adjust a tiny bit. And that looks slightly better. So I'll take that over there, and this will be a roller door. This will let you see into a room that's decorated, but you won't be able to access the room unless I put an entrance on the other side. And I might do that. I can still use interactive door if I want to have ones that go up and down, but this is just more for the appeal, because you wouldn't have any of those doors in that anyways. So we'll go prefab door. We'll call this mall door blocked. And then if I need to, I can make it skinnier and shorter, taller, but then it's a little more better. It's not the greatest, but that'll work. But now I can just put that away. That part's done. So now I have another little collection piece for what we're going to use. I might make some clutter for shops. I'm still going to need to work on like the little golfing room because we already have stairs that we can use for, where was it? It should be, I just used it earlier on another project. This one. You use the chimney stairs for the golf room. So you would have this, which would take you up into the second floor, which is about the same height as the dock stairs and stuff I've already done. So that'll be cool. But there's just all you need is a bunch of small little parts, and then you figure out a way that you're going to work all these parts in. So like by taking them all, it kind of cuts down the time instead of me just slowly fleshing out, okay, I'm going to start building this room piece by piece. And then say something happens in the project and something corrupts and I lose all that progress. So I'd rather make all these small prefabs that can just add to my folder, and then I don't have to run back and copy something. I can just type in here, find what I need in all stairs, go over here, be like, okay, I want the railing, take a 45-degree angle, add that to something. Or if I want to just, you know, boom, take out my escalator. I still have to work on it because we have to use dredge glass. So with dredge glass, you get to choose the window you like, but all the other windows are still attached to it. So this all has to be blocked with stone walls of some sort that I have to angle till I get everything blocking this off. But I can just scale that a bit, go that way, make it a little more narrow. And then you would have kind of have an escalator. You can kind of see it right here. These right here. See how it's like an invisible barrier? So because of that, I'm gonna have to put maybe some plants right here, so that way people don't accidentally walk into, because it's small pieces of glass that are actually still there, part of the dredge glass. So I need to work out how far out, and then I'm gonna have plants or something, so that way you just go up your escalator and be on the second floor. This is already at the floor level height for what we're gonna use for the second floor. And all this will have to be hidden. I could probably make a small little room, because I could probably have a doorway that goes here. That glass might be in the way right here. You can see that. So I have to either have a doorway further back that would go into, say, like a mini room that I could have built in here, which is doable. I can do that and have like switches or something inside the stairwell, but you'd have to access it through one of the side doors. And that would be usable for, say, like a green key card room for one of the offside rooms. It'd be cool. What else did we need? I'm gonna pull up internet real quick. Let's go Willemette. Small images. Can we get that? Can we get that as a full image scene? View image. It's gonna be blurry, but I still have to make these post pillars, which are gonna be throughout the mall. I already have these lamps made for like an oil lamp, so I might just need to make the little metal mounting piece that's gonna hold them to the wall. And then this would be, I could put heart sensors there so they look like they're mall cameras, even though these are supposed to be lights. I could just put lights there too. But this is going to be the top area of where we need to have the glass. It's in the hallway between the room that we are standing in right now and the rooms or the courtyard that we're trying to get to the other parts of the building. And then it'll have a bunch of side shops. I'll have to make custom little signs for each of the rooms. But I can use a little fake roller door thing I made on most of these And I can have ones, I can make a version where you can't see it all in. That way, it gives you kind of the illusion that, yeah, there's a room back there, but you don't see it. That way, there's not that many prefabs in, and making it so it's just total clusterfuck in the mall. This walkway, I'm probably going to use like a road prefab for the thickness, because I'm going to need to make a section of it, so I can just copy and paste the section as I go down through the second layer of the mall. So I would just need to make a roundabout one, or I can just do the flat one and kind of have it at an angle, and then still I could take that and use that to kind of make a round, but it's still kind of a pain in the ass. So if I take, say, a road, I know I did it with clutter, my clutter bridge. No, not the tubes. Nah, that's too big. So if I take this out over here, spawn that in. I already have this for the thickness that I would need. Oops. I have to take off center to bring it over. So I would need to use this as kind of a guide. I'll make it thinner, shorter, definitely shorter. That way it's workable. And this would just be like what I would use to outline what I'm gonna need to make. So say I do this, I grab a dock floor. This dock floor is actually wide, pretty wide, so that's probably going to be 1200 by 600. It's actually going to be the size I want. So let's make that the actual width. And then that'll be the thickness I want to say what we're going to need. So we're going to take that, duplicate it, flip it. I'm surprised we don't have a button for just automatically 90-degree flip. That would be great. But a little bit of persistence and it can get it. So then I'll do that. And then since we're already using this brick texture, we'll just take one of these little brick walls over here. Actually, we'll not use that one. Let's use, what are they specifically called? Wall. Okay, so wall. There's pillars. We'll take pillars, and we can do that for that at X. I want to keep it on the same path if I can. Okay. And then I'm going to want to take, there's a longer one here because it already has the textures built into them. And plaster's too much, so I want to take this one and we're going to rotate it. That way when I scale it, it's not a huge amount of texture loss. Let me check that. And then we're going to make this about half the thickness. So that way we can do that. Oh, and that's not small enough. It's just small little adjustments here. And that that's not big enough. Because ultimately my goal is to keep as much of the original texture as I can so that the bricks don't get completely blurred out, and then it's not too bad. And then I can just take that. Bring that there. And now I can get rid of that because I have the thickness. Now what I need to do is take that, copy it, rotate it along the same axis. A lot of times you just have to get used to Control Xing because sometimes it's not local, sometimes it's global, and it gets all wonky as shit. And then what I do, I just flatten that bad boy up. So I get a kind of like a railing piece down there. And then I would just copy it, and I would Control X it again. That way you don't see through the little brick layer that's there. And you can pull it out slightly. It's not that bad. Okay, up this side, it's gonna be the same thing, yeah. We don't want it to be visible that much, so. There we go, now they're capped off. And I just need to take one of these. I guess we're gonna rotate it that way. Should be about the exact thickness. Oh, not that one, green one. That's not too bad because from above you're not going to see much. And then I would just take my normal railing that I already made for the stairs, and I would tack that on there, so it would match some of the stairs that we already do. But this would just be like a little piece. I probably would have to remove the pillars here at the ends, depending on which wall it's going to be facing. So that's why I'm going to leave them all four there so it's symmetrical, and I can just copy and paste. Let's get. Damn it! I don't want those. So. And we'll bring it down here. And we'll call this mall walkway. Let's just double check here. Oh, hey, oh shit, people are watching. Is there key settings to switch between rotate and move tab on the prefab tab? Yes. So what you're doing is, so you click something, you're holding down Control and you're clicking E for rotate. You would use Control W to move back to the move. Control X changes your global or local space. So if I'm rotating and it's rotating the, it's rotating, say, like the wrong way. So let's see here. We'll just select all these and I go to rotate it and see how everything's kind of jumbled up the wrong way. just Control Z it. Like, okay, now you're back to where you were. Control X, and that way everything kind of moves in the same path as each one that you're trying to rotate. It's a useful tip for when you're working on stuff, because sometimes you forget to do it. How often does the server update the map? My server specifically does a map wipe every first Thursday of the month when there's a main wipe. I might do a secondary wipe coming up just because of Christmas. I might change my whole map into Christmas. Twisted's, I want to say he can answer for himself. He probably wipes weekly or something, maybe bi-weekly. Everybody's server wipes differently. Get rid of that clutter bridge. I do not need that in here. Sometimes you gotta keep going back in. Some stuff does not render in right off the bat. Okay, so now we already have main walkways, we have staircases. Twisted says, every week we slightly alter things, but every 3 months fully change the map. Yeah, because, you know, depending on your population, if you have, like, say a pretty good sized server, 30, 40 regulars that play, if you're a 5K map, that's not that bad, but the prefab count, it starts to get up there, starts chugging on the CPU. So a lot of people, they'll do, for modded servers, they'll do like a 2 week and then a wipe just to get rid of a lot of those entities. Some servers, they'll up their, I want to say their decay rates and have plugins to remove buildings of players that don't play. I don't like that with my server because I don't have much of a population as it is. But I would just prefer to restart the system every 2-3 days if I need to, just to bring everything back. I like monthly wipes because not everybody can get on and play 4 or 5 times a week. Sometimes you can only play 2 days. So my whole server is based around the idea of log in. If you want to farm, go out and farm. If you don't want to farm, I've got events set up for PvP with like loans prefabs. You got a little Call of Duty event going on. You can go in there, shoot zombies, or shoot other people. There's some gun game, free for all, one in the chamber. If you don't want to shoot at people in PvP, I have car races set up. You can earn server economics through the car races. And then through all that, it's set up with my shop. You can take the economics or the RP that you get from each of the events. You can buy scrap, take that scrap over to, say, Outpost, buy whatever mats you want. So then instead of out there farming, you can just come in a day and play some events for a whole day, and you have an entire end game kit. You can just buy it. Or if you want to play, you know, normal vanilla Rust, you can still do that on my server. I'm not holding you back from it. But I do have, say, Hunt RPG on there, so you can earn your own perks. Like the more you play, the higher skills that you can get. You can use skill points to up, say, your resource retain for gathering wood, stone, all of that. Because I want you to be able to just come and play when you want to play. If you want to leave, go leave for a couple days. I increase stack size on my cupboards so you can just put a massive load of just resources in there. And then you don't have to worry about your base decaying. So you can build a big base, small base. I've got a lot of secret locations around my map where you could build in little pockets that people won't probably ever find you. But I'm different than a lot of people with servers. I prefer to have options. I don't want you to play Rust one way. I want you to play Rust multiple ways. Then you don't get bored. Everyone's having fun. You can play role play if you want to role play. Dominate PvP in the PvP events if you want. It's a little bit of things for everything. I do not support toxicity, so anybody that comes in spamming bad words and hate speech, I instant ban you. You permaban from my servers. If you happen to say be in any of the discords I moderate for, I ban you there too, because I do it across the board. I don't want to put up with it. Nobody should put up with it. I understand we all have been there. Call of Duty back in the day, we've all screamed stuff in matches, but you know, we're all growing up. We need to, you know, behave a little better. You know, Rust should be a game that we all love and enjoy. And yeah, you can make fun of people and, you know, mess with them here and there. Just don't blatantly go into racism or, you know, bad words that you're going to use against them. Like, yeah, you could tell them to go fuck themselves. That's nothing. But like when you start using hate speech, like the PewDiePie bridge incident, and he didn't do that by, you know, it's by accident. He didn't mean it that way. but a lot of people in Rust mean it what they say. They say some very hateful shit, and I don't support that. So I'm gonna get off my tangent here. Is there anything we were thinking of looking for this build that you want me to kind of work on a little right now? Let's see here. We'll pop up some Willemette. Oh, that would just be some beams. Beams. Actually, no, because we're going to use frame. There we go. And we'll call that build frame. Beam. Our key cards, locked doors, blue-red rooms, just normal electric door connection by the electric in the background. I would say, are you talking about like a puzzle? So, say if I pop up half this puzzle, we'll go. So you have, is it this one? Yes, okay. So this is your card reader. Say you want to get into the room. You would have power, most likely a generator. These guys might not have them. No. Okay, here's a generator. So there's a generator that outputs power. You would take the power from that generator. It would go to, say, a fuse box. The fuse box would then come all the way over to this, and it would power for this switch right here. This switch would connect to the door controller. When you make your own puzzles, the door controller generally has to be on the left side, so it reads the hinges. That's how Kill You set it up. Face Punch, they have a little more, I'm assuming, room to make this just control the whole area. You would use the door controller connected to the door itself. So putting a fuse in the fuse box would send power to the switch over here, which you could then slide your card. It sends a signal to the door controller. Door controller tells the door to open. Door opens. On the inside, you would have this powered from the generator, and the button would hit this, thus sending a signal to say, hey, there's power. The button's pressed. Send a signal to the door opener. Open the door. I really don't get why they have a switch out here. I'm assuming the switch is so that you can, instead of wasting your fuse, they sent it into where power goes to this, then power goes to fuse box. But you don't have to use a switch like that. Everybody knows if I put in a fuse in here, odds are the fuse is probably going to go away. What do we get here? I love doing stuff like this. Oddly, building bases is my favorite thing to do in Rust so far. Well, that's what a lot of us started with. I started making bases and base exploits with the original Gold Caves. Then I turned from that into bunker bases. Bunker bases then turned into bases out in the ocean, but then they kind of effed us with the build height limit. So instead of that, I've just, if you can take something that they've given us and then creatively adjust it to trick players or make it a little harder for them to raid you, there's a lot of fun in that. I also enjoy making just bases for the ability to see stuff. You know, it looks really cool to make a scenic base, say up on a mountain where you got a great view. Sure, you might get raided, but you know, a little role play never hurt everybody. New to your content, obviously. Yeah, I don't generally stream a lot because I have work and my setup's not completely set up. I've gone from an XLR mic to now using a Blue Yeti, well, Black Yeti. I've used my Razer headset before. I've just never had the time to set up and do stuff that much. I try to do some noise cancellation, but it's not always the greatest. Yeah, but this program is Rust Edit. It is free. You can download it from rustedit.io. Rustedit.io, I guess, or rustedit.io.com. Just type in rustedit.io in Google. It'll generally pop up. There should be a download tab in the forum webpage for it. That'll send you over to our forums where I moderate. If you get into creating your own prefabs and you want to showcase them in Rust Edit, you send me a DM. It'll be Nox. You'll see me floating around in the chat. That way I can give you kind of map creator perms so you can post content on Rust Edit. What else we got here? We got Will. My Steam is Desktop Commando. Yes, we have seen you in the forums, Desktop Commando. You've actually brought forward quite some interesting stuff. It's not that bad. I would probably use some of your stuff, but obviously use them for my builds. Yeah. So far, I redid my OBS yesterday, which is why I have, say, my intermission screens, my starting stream, all of this. Just, it's a quick package I bought. I had customized OBS on my old desktop before I made this new one, but I lost all of those files. So instead of recreating them all, I just went out, bought a thing from Nerd or Die or something. He does a lot of pretty cool Twitch stuff and overlays and all that, so I just use it for stream OBS. It works pretty good. I've streamed in higher quality. Like this rig I'm currently using has a Ryzen 3800X. I think it's turboed to 4.2 to 4.5 gigahertz. I've got 32 gigs of high-speed Trident Z 3200 RAM. I've got a 1080 Ti in it right now. I'm probably going to upgrade to one of the newer cards when they come out, but I'm still waiting because graphic card market effing blows. And the 1080 Ti has been so good to me all these years that I don't see any reason to upgrade it just yet. I should probably post some pictures of my build. It's actually pretty nice. I turn all the RGB off, but when I want to mess with people, I'll turn all my RGB on, and then they'll come into the room and be like, "Well, holy shit, how do you afford all these lights?" And be like, "I use it once a month." Literally just go live and turn it on when you're done. Yeah, I do. I just click go live and then hit end stream. Usually if I go to end stream, I'll toggle between my my scenes and all that. On my old one, I had a intermission scene that when I would click it, it would turn on a movie. So like it's movie shorts that were from the Minion movie, because I thought that shit was hilarious. So I would have those on, and you would be sitting there during the intermission watching like a little short of a movie. Sometimes I would add in bits from other movies that I have on my desktop, just so you have something to watch. Because if I'm going away from the computer for a long time, I'll just turn the stream off, and then I'll just be like coming back later. But yeah, you know, dead time kind of sucks. That's why a lot of people leave streams. They don't view a lot. If you don't have interaction with the audience or talking, people get bored pretty quick. And a lot of the times that happens with me when nobody's here at the house. I can usually talk more. But sometimes I stumble and I run into things. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all can't have beautiful British accents or Twisted's accent. I want to say Scottish. I'm not sure. I don't think I've adjusted my bitrate though on OBS since the new OBS came out. When they upgraded it from the original one, this thing works so much better than it's ever done before. Just looking at my overlay, it looks fairly smooth. I'm assuming it's sending the signal out to you guys at 720p instead of 344, 1440p or whatever, which is what my monitor's at. But that's not too bad. Like, I don't want it to be ridiculously super high quality unless I'm playing a game that I want it to be that way. Rocket League, when I stream that, I generally do that at max settings. Rust, I'll do at max settings just because it's insane what Rust can look like when it's fully max capped out with everything on highest settings. Let me throw this in the nighttime real quick. Time weather panel, 24 for darkest settings. And we'll go F3, which is a paid feature for Rust Edit. You would come in, you'd get this kind of darkly lit parking lot. You would see a little bit of sparks up here because there's some electrical going haywire. Jump over that. Yeah, red lights and all the fireflies just to give it kind of some ambience. But that'll be my entranceway. And here comes daylight. I use set at 10 because that's the brightest the daylight would be set at in game time. I was gonna work on this bad boy here. No, I don't want to go to the wiki. I think I have another picture somewhere actually that I think about it. Up on the up here in the top right, I set that picture for you guys. It's just a bunch of pictures and collage that I made from stuff I found, just to give me an idea of what I was working on in the beginning. I should have. Hopefully, you don't see any lots of map names. Where was it? Documents. Good, no porn. Yes, I have Disney Plus. Greatest. If you don't have Disney Plus, you need to buy Disney Plus. Mandalorian is a fucking amazing show. It blows out all of the new Star Wars, in my opinion. I approve of it way further than the rest of it. So, oh, go back. No, not that monument. Let's see here. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's probably 12 to be safe. 12 sides. So I'm gonna take this, flush it with the ground, bring it up a bit. I want it to be kind of flat. Now, let's make this beam slightly bigger. Where's the point of rotation? Way over there? Okay. So we will go here, copy, duplicate, move it, point of rotation. We're gonna probably want to have more of these, huh? 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's gonna be a pain. So I might just scrap that, make them smaller, so I can just resize it later. probably going to be too many, but oops. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Takes a lot of a little adjusting. This one should be flat. Yeah, not a perfect circle, so let's adjust this slowly until we get it to where we want it to be. Slightly better. Doing a circle is such a pain in the ass. Let's just grab a barrel here. Yellow. Kind of helps get you a little more round there. That's a better circle. Okay, and then that's probably a good size for how big I'm going to want maybe make that a little smaller. Saving the map just in case. You never know when everything's going to crash and you're going to lose all your work. Canopy. Oh, wait, I didn't call it that today. Yeah, you can start off with just taking like a proc gen map, say from any server that you've played on. It'll be in your Steam's map folder. And then you get kind of more of a gist of what the map's actually going to look like from a finished generated product from Facepunch. And you just make small edits, take a monument away, put a different monument there, figure out what kind of stuff you would want to add, and just let your creativity be your limit. Whatever you can think of, you can probably make using this program. Almost every single editor out there uses Rust Edit. Some will claim that they use the Unity one more. In my personal experience, more people use Rust Edit than Unity for now. A lot of people want to promise to use the Unity editor more. They say that they have more features coming, that they're going to have all this really cool stuff added. But Unity's too damn complicated for most users. With Rust Edit, I can just click something and adjust what I want to adjust. Like, I don't need to know how to use some sort of scripts that are in Unity and know how to code to do anything. I can just do it all based off of drag and drop. Like, it's a lot easier to use this program, especially for prefabs. I think you can really only use this one. Somebody made a modified Unity editor for prefabs, but even then, it just seems like too much of a pain in the ass. I just want something simple, easy. Instead of Photoshop, I use GIMP because GIMP's fucking free and it's not that hard to, figure out how to use. You don't have to have any special knowledge like you would Photoshop. You'd have to know all of these specific keybinds and where everything's located in their massive tool tab. And it can just be a pain in the ass. So I just learn from trial and error. That's the best thing you can do. Try something out, zoom out from it. I can see that that's not de-rendering, so that's good. Some items I can put in, say, like this movie poster, it's not going to render in until you're close. A lot of stuff will be like that. The editor's not 100% like what you're going to see in game. Some stuff in game might actually render even though it doesn't in the editor. But there's a good amount of prefabs that you might use that you might not see at all from a good distance on your map. Like, you might have to be literally right here just to see some of these prefabs. So it's just a trial and error. Eventually you find things. Or you can use nature to kind of block a lot of stuff. That's why a lot of people like to do heavy forests in their maps, because the forest is going to keep you from noticing stuff rendering in and out from your prefab. So if you if you really want, you can always find a way to kind of work around the limitations we have with distance and settings. But, you know, just using Rust Edit as a general gist of, okay, well, if that's going to render out from there, then I know that the texture's changing, at least from the distance in the editor. So in game, it's probably going to do it too. How do you make a prefab follow a certain set of parameters? Direction, i.e. train on the railroad tracks. So the train on the tracks is a plugin created by Colin Blow. Basically, he has it set up to where you're walking around, you type in / track new or whatever to create the track. A little window is going to pop up in the screen. You can be able to set little points of interest or pathing points or whatever they want to call it for the prefab to follow. I'm not 100% sure on how he coded that specifically, but from what I would assume he has triggers set where he's able to say, take a prefab, not these ones, but more of like a foundation from in-game, and say, hey, I need you to move to each point of interest that I place down based at X speed and stop for X amount of time for what I set up. So anything I make in here, I'm pretty sure he can't just go, hey, use this pre-made asset and put it in game, make it move. He has to use some sort of connecting script or something that he's using. I forget how they do it, but they connect stuff that's in the game itself. Usually buildables or deployables is what they'll use. Because all of these pieces aren't buildables or deployables. These are stuff that are found in the game assets. So you really can't just spawn them in with a console. You would need to have something set up custom-wise to do that, I would say. But yeah, I'm not sure the whole coding portion of it. You'd have to ask Colin Blow or head over to the UMod Discord. They'd probably have more of a substantial idea of how to do it, tell you how to do it. Oh, no problem. Okay, so now I've done all these posts. I can go copy, drag up, expand. Then I'm going to need them all to go to a specific focal point. So okay, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 9, 10. So I do have an even amount. So I'm probably going to want to direct this one that way. Direct that one there. Obviously, I'm going to have to adjust these as I go around to make it more similar to the picture, but I just want to get a gist of where everything's going to kind of head. No, don't duplicate, damn it. Looks like this will probably be the last one I do for the day before I go to work. I got a couple minutes before I have to go shower, shave, but shouldn't be too hard once these are all connected to the center. I'm gonna have to put something to block, obviously, this clusterfuck of ugly pieces right here. But then I can just take a beam and kind of branch and connect most of these. That way, when you're underneath it and you're looking up, it's more like what's actually in the picture over there. Oh, didn't mean that. Just small little tweaks here and there until everything falls in where it needs to be. Now it's not super bad, but I'm gonna probably save that there. Right, let's just do one of these real quick. Oh, right, let's do this one. It was probably easier if I didn't break that. Oh, damn. probably going to use. And then I just need to do that on each one of these and put some invisible colliders in, and that'll be done for the roof. The base of underneath, what's underneath all this, is going to have to probably be these little walls, and then that'll be sitting on the roof looking down into what we're going to have down there. But that'll be it for the day. I'll probably come back and I'll be doing this as I go with the with everything. The thing I've learned is I gotta break all the prefabs or stuff's gonna be broken. So I'll either I'll say set this to a custom save point, and then I'll group it. And we'll go roof canopy 2, break it. That way all the pieces are individual. When you're making custom stuff on a map, sometimes, not always, but you'll load back in the map and you will not have the prefabs that you were making because for some reason it didn't recognize the prefab name file. So I always break everything that's in the map that I'm building stuff on, just so I don't have to worry about it later. And then I can regroup it before I need to, say, set a password, which was edit password. You can set a password for the map. Passwords don't do jack shit, but you know, it's just an added layer of safety, I guess some people have. Have a great one. I'll see you guys most likely later. Peace out.